Hello everyone, and welcome to another J. Robinson Art Peiloff painting project. Today we're going to be painting a very nice picture. It's actually called Joe's Sailboat, named after a good friend of mine who really had an affinity for boats. Basically what we're going to do is we're just going to, as usual, have some fun. We're going to push around a few colors and we're going to be creative. This painting is not hard at all. It's very easy, very simple, and a lot of fun. So let's just take a look at the equipment that we have so we can get started. I have my cup of water. I also have my colors for today, which are yellow, orange, white, blue, red, and black. Now I've squeezed out enough colors so that you can clearly see the colors that we're using today, but we're not even going to use half of what we have here. So I strongly suggest you don't squeeze out your total tube of paint when you get it. Squeeze out just enough. You could always add to it. It's hard to put the genie back in the bottle. We also have our spatula. We provide you with a series of brushes. The spatula we're going to use to actually remove the peel off. We give you a plastic apron. We provide you with a paper towel, but I strongly suggest you may want to get a couple of your own. And as you can see, I have my black construction paper so that no matter what spills happen, it's not going to affect the table surface underneath. So let's take a look at our project. This is our wonderful painting for today. It's a beautiful scene. People on the boat having fun. Birds are flying. Ocean's nice and calm. Sky is brilliant. So this is what we provide for you. We give you an 8x10 canvas with the peel already affixed. We're going to just be painting the background, the water. We're going to remove our peel, paint our boat, and then add a few things in the sky. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to be using my basic beat up brushes that I like. And if you have your own brushes, again, feel free to use them. But we provide you with brushes in the kit that are more than enough to satisfy the painting projects that we give you. But if you have your own for your own level of comfort, please feel free to use it. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to be streaking in some colors now for our sky. And I'm going to bring that down to maybe 1/3 of the canvas. And then we're going to use the rest to be our water. So this will be our sky up to about here. And then the rest will be our water. And then we'll peel off and start our boats. Now I like to start by just randomly putting in a little color. So I'm going to start with yellow. And I'm just going to streak left and right. Just some variations, some lines. Like so. Just going to kind of streak those in to act as different areas in the sky where the light is shining through. We could always mute those down. Then I'm going to touch in without cleaning the brush. I'm going to pick up some orange. And I think from here, just for you, I'm going to establish approximately where my horizon line is going to be. So I'm just going to take the brush and hold it sideways. I'm just going to pull. That's going to be my horizon line. Try to make it as straight as possible. Now I'm going to take this orange color and I'm just going to streak in some orange here or there to just start filling in my sky. Just going to come here. You can go into the yellow, you can go around it. It's all about your visuals on what you see your sky looking like and acting like. Now I'm going to go back into some yellow, and then I'm going to start to allow those colors to softly blend together. I'm not trying to take anything out, just trying to establish my sky pattern. Some more yellow. There, just covering the divots with little open pockets. We are going to add some white to our sky, but we don't want the white of the canvas to necessarily show through. Just going to wipe off the brush so that it doesn't get too contaminated. As I pick up some more yellow and just kind of bring some of that down into here. And see, just that fast, we've created a really interesting sky pattern. See? Now you can take your brush and just kind of lightly brush to take out some of the brush strokes and just softly blend those colors in just a little bit. I'm not pressing very hard. I'm going rather lightly. so that this way the colors don't get too muted. Okay? All right, now that we have this established, why don't we just go ahead and just pick up a little white, and just with some accents. We're just going to throw in some white to represent some clouds that have kind of drifted by into our painting. It's nothing major. You know, just going to add a few little streaks of white, just to kind of be a whisk of cloud kind of forms, if you will. And you see how I'm going right over the peels, and that's good enough. That gives my sky it's a little bit more interest. Maybe I just add a little bit more up top here. Just have a nice cloud that's floating just above here. There you go. And now that's fine. I'm going to clean off my brush. Dip the brush in the water. I call this ringing the bell. And I'm going to wipe off the color. Make sure I get this nice and good, because there's yellow on my brush and I don't want the yellow and the blue to mix. So now I'm going to take my brush, go right into some blue, and right underneath where I established my horizon line, I'm going to try once again just to go nice and straight. If it mixes in with the orange, that's fine. I just don't want it to mix in with the green, with the blue and the yellow. I'm sorry, it'll turn green. So I'm really trying to establish just below here a straight line there. Now there's my horizon line. Now I could take the brush and just brush like this and put in the rest of the water, but I'm going to go left and right, because if there's any brush marks that show up or lighter color variations, I want it to look like they're waves in the water, not a waterfall. So by going left and right, even with the fat of the brush, I get to establish any brush lines. See, any brush lines that do remain, they'll contribute to the flow of the water on the surface of our ocean. And again, if I were to pull down, those brush strokes would be down, and it would look as if the water's running this way. So I try to always encourage all of my individuals who paint with me to just follow the instructions for now, and then you can come in later and make all the adjustments that you want as your skill sets get better and your practice shows you and teaches you things, as it has done me over these many, many years. See, so again, just in case the brush marks show up, they go left and right. They look a little bit better than if they would have gone straight up and down. And with that being said, I'm going to leave that. I don't even need to add anything further. Just cleaning up the divots, softening up a few lines. But that's good enough for me, because that establishes my ocean. The strokes give me my water. I have my sky. Now we're going to peel and get ready to paint our boat, our sailboat. Told you this was an easy painting. Knock this from left side to side, ring the bell, wipe this brush off. Now I'm going to put this brush down, and I'm going to pick up my spatula. Now the way I use the spatula is I don't hold it like a spoon at the very bottom here or on this long neck. I grab it up high so that I can control using those four corners. Because all I really want to do is just pull up a little tiny bit anywhere that I can get the spatula to start going under, like here is perfect. Because I just want to pull up. And once I start pulling up, even if it rips, it's okay. I want to remove the peel that's underneath. Just going to clean off my hands. I don't want to get any contamination in my areas here. So I'm just going to continue to peel up. I've already started to peel, so it's fine. There. See, that's the background. That's the water. Those are not mistakes. Those are perfect. Because the peel protected the sail which is really the most important thing. And it allowed the piercing through over here of these two sails to show you the sky and the water just above here. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this little flat brush. I'm going to take a little white, and I'm just going to clean up the boat. And I'm just going to go in here, and I'm just going to add some white right into the boat. I'm not worried about the people. I'm just going to work with the boat. And then where the lines are slightly colorized, coming in just a little bit, I'm going to push them straight, clean off as I go, and then just keep adding a little color in this boat area very carefully. Now you could let this dry so that you won't have to fight as hard with those colors that are around it. But we're trying to do a class here, so I'm gonna have to just continue, even though I know it's a challenge, to try not to pull any of that blue into my boat area. Then I'm gonna go and do the same thing with my sails while I have a moment. I'm just gonna try to stay along the edges and not try to pull in too much color, but I just want to add some white into my sail area so that when I go to put some accents to it, there's some color for me to blend from. So you see, I'm not going too close to the edges just yet. And again, you could allow your painting to dry so that you don't have to contend with colors contaminating your interior. Now you see right here where the blue got into my sail, I'm just going to take some color and make a stroke, clean it off, make another stroke, and just lighten it up a little bit. All right, so let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to do is add some kind of shadows in my sail and everything. So I'm going to take a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of black, move it up here near the white, grab some white, and I'm just going to keep blending this until I get a kind of a light gray. Now I'm going to take that gray, and let's say on this back sail, I'm just going to pull the brush along the edge here, right along the back of the sail. Maybe I'll lighten it up just a tad more, but I want you to be able to see it. And then I'm just going to paint like half of that sail in the back here. Just fade it a little bit, so like so. So it looks as though there's a little bit of a shadow being cast on the back of that sail, like that. See that? It's very light, but it works. Grab a little bit more of this color, and I'm going to come right here to this sail, and I'm going to throw some of that right down the edge here, just to establish a little bit of a shadow in my sail. Maybe I'll go a little bit darker here, because I really want you to see it. Okay. There. Just going to work that color in. That's good enough. And then maybe down here at the base of the boat, just above the water line, like right along, let me try to go this way, right along here. I'm just going to establish some shadow color here. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger back here. It's light, but it's there. It's only for the purposes of continuity. I want it to look as though there's a little bit of a shadow on the boat. There. Maybe I'll add a little bit into here so you can see it. Trust me, it's there. Now, you don't have to do this part, but I like it. Now, let's start decorating our boat. What I would suggest you do first is establish where your stripes are going to be. So let's pick up a little red. Continue using this flat brush. You could use the pointed brush that we provided you to act it like a pencil. But again, remember, I'm shooting a video, so I don't want it to take forever for you to see exactly what to do. Now, I could go with this red right along the horizon line, but it would look weird. So I'm going to go just below the horizon line and establish a red line on my sail that goes across the boat like so. I've established it. I'm going to leave it. I'll come back later and enrich it. And then over here, I'm going to establish another one in the exact same space, but on the other sail. And you can see I'm turning it slightly. It's like a slight arc, because I want it to look as though the sail is bellowing a little bit. So now I'm going to come up a little higher, and I'm going to put in my second sail, maybe here. And I'm just going to turn it slightly, again, to give the impression that the sail has got air trapped in it. So that little turn, that slight hook, makes it look a little rounded. We're going to come back and we're going to reestablish that. But in the meantime, I'm going to take this flat brush and I'm going to run a stripe across the side of the boat. I'm going to use this back area here to determine my line, and I'm just holding the brushes straight up and down, and I'm going to very slowly drag that line right across there. So now I've established a little decoration on the boat. See how it's starting to come together? Now inside the boat, there's poles and there's a little bit of a cabin area. So why don't we take this little pointed brush and we're going to tap into a little bit of yellow and a touch of orange. Right, a little yellow, a touch of orange, and a touch of blue. And then we're going to go back to a little bit more of this orange color. And there, that's the color I'm looking for, like a little bit of an orangey brownish color. So now, right back in here, you can see there's a small little pole. So I'm just going to paint that. Just a little color. Just a little color. Take that same little mixture, come right up here and do this pole too. Right below the sail. Right down to the boat edge. And then right here is where they steer the boat. So why don't we come here and just draw like there's a little bit of a cabin that you can go downstairs right here on the boat. And then we're going to stop here. And maybe we'll take a little bit of this color and just go a slight back. Now this is minor, but it shows up in the painting. So now we're going to take and we're going to create a little bit of a gray line like we did earlier. So let's just take some of this white, stir it up in here. In the black, get a gray, a nice dark gray this time. There, that's good. And what we're going to do with this color is we're literally going to drag this right across the top of the boat, underneath the pole, underneath the cabin, just to act as a shadow, that there's a little bit of distance between the edge of the boat and all of that stuff we just did. I'm going to do this all the way across. There. And now I'm just going to take straight black and I'm going to paint in the people. I'm just going to block them in. Just maintain their shape so that they look like they're little people. Like a little circle for a head. A little wider portion for the body. And this part right here, we're going to paint it all black. There. That gives a little bit of establishment of where everything is on the boat. See? And if you step back and look, your boat is starting to really come to life. Now below deck, there are a couple of cabins down below. So right in here, I'm going to paint a little line that runs here to show a window that's underneath the boat. And over here, there's another one. And that establishes that decoration. While we have this little pointed brush, why don't we take some red on that and go back over that line that we did so it'll be nice and rich. Just take your time and just drag the brush. Load up as needed and just drag the brush. And this is going to enrich in that red line that's along the trim of the boat. See? And before we go any further, let's pick back up our flat brush with a little red on it. And let's go back to those sails. And let's just touch. Look at this. See how much darker? Look how rich that is. That's because acrylic paint, you can layer it. And once you let it dry, which it dries very quickly, you can go over it as many times as you want. Our boat is near finished. We've added all the decorations to it. We've enriched the color of our sails, the stripe on our boat. Now we're just going to put in some lines. So I'm just going to pick up a little pointed brush again. Now on this part, this is optional again. You don't have to do this part, but I like it because it adds a little bit of decoration to the sail. I'm just dipping my brush in water to get it to a point. Rotating it into one area of the black, maintaining that point. And I'm just going to bring a line down inside the sails. So from the top of this sail here, you can even go a little bit outside of it as though it's a wood that sticks in the air. And right along this edge, I'm just going to drag a straight line. If the paint starts to thin, I'll load up, go halfway up my line that I just made, and continue pulling down. There. I'm going to stop right there. Go to the other sail and do the inside of that one. This one, we're just going to go right with the contour. So we're just going to stick with the shape. Pull a line straight along the edges we can. Like that. Now this is the cool part. I'm going to take, and right along here, I'm just going to make some little tiny lines that are kind of half curled. To pretend like this is the rope that's holding the sail to the sailboat pole. I'm going to do the other side too. Just a few little lines, just like that. I'm just making some tiny little lines going straight up. I go over my red. And there. That looks like it's bellowing and that there's ropes holding it and that the boat itself is being moved. I like it. It just gives a little feel. I'm going to straighten out my windows with my pointed brush just to help establish those cabins below deck. And now for the pièce de résistance. I'm going to put a water line of white so that you can see my sailboat moving in the water. See, we didn't put waves because we don't want a lot of waves in our ocean. But right along the edge of the boat here, I'm going to come and streak in some white. Like right behind it, like there's some bubbles or waves from the boat moving. And I'm going to push some in this direction. Just till I get to the front and stop. And now I'm going to make a shape of a shadow of lines that are in the same basic triangle as my sailboat. Because this is going to act as shadows to the sails that you see high. But you see how if you maintain that triangular shape, it does look like a shadow of the boat. If you wanted to, yes, you could take and put in a few little lines, not strong, in the water itself. See how I'm staggering the lines like they're not lines running straight across? And there's a little movement in the water, especially behind the boat. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is how to make a bird. Birds are easy. You put a little water on the brush. You twirl the brush like you was going to do to make it to a point again. You hold the brush like so. You make the wing. You push down. You lift up. Boom. Bird number one. Again, watch. You start with one wing. You push down. You pull up. See, the push down gives the bird's body. Over here, wing, push down, pull up. Our painting is finished. Told you, easy, fun, simple, yet so beautiful. Well, I hope you had fun. I know I did. And I want to thank you so much for allowing me to paint with you. There's nothing that I derive more pleasure from than being able to paint with you and push around a few colors and have some fun. So welcome to Joe's Boat. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you too can see all of the latest paintings that we put out. And until next time, take care.